Adrian N. Breitfelder, City Clerk, you are hereby directed to call a special session of the City Council to be held on Monday, February 5th, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the historic Federal Building for the purpose of conducting a work session on Travel Dubuque's annual update.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome to a special session of the Dubuque City Council for February 5th, 2024. As a reminder to viewers and listeners, due to the nature of tonight's meeting topic, public input is not accepted. However, you may contact the City Council directly from the city's webpage at www.cityofdubuque.org/council contacts. Attendance for the session is as follows. Mayor Kavanaugh.
Here.
Council members Farber.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Resnick.
Here.
Roussel.
Here.
Sprank.
Here.
Wethel.
Here.
City Manager Van Milligan.
Here.
And City Attorney Brumwell.
Here.
Thank you. Our work session topic is Travel Dubuque's annual update. I will turn it over to Travel Dubuque President and CEO Keith Ray.
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Mayor, City Council, City staff, it's my privilege to be here this evening to give the update and where we are at for so far in this fiscal year and looking ahead to next fiscal year for Travel Dubuque. As you can see, we've got the slide to start. This is down in the Millward District with the farmers market and such, and that continues to be an event, that continues to be an area that we market heavily and really is quite a spot for people to venture to as we continue to grow as a community and as a destination. My staff, we've increased our staff a little since the last time. We now have 10 full-time employees based out of Dubuque and Dyersville, but we have a whole array of part-time employees, not only in our Welcome Center, our step-on guides for the riverboats and such, but also with the Field of Dreams. And that's an all-star crew right there. I mean, everything we do, as you know, I've been coming here for a long time talking to the board. I figured this was my 17th time to present to the council and such. And a lot of these individuals have been with me for some time, and they're amazingly talented at what they do. They're amazingly dedicated to our region to promote Dubuque and Dubuque County as a destination across the board, from meetings to group tours, individuals, events, activities, and such. And they do an amazing job with it. I feel one of the best staffs in the entire Midwest, if not the country. Here's some highlights, what has happened so far, like I mentioned, in fiscal year 24 that we're in, and what we're looking forward to in fiscal year 25. The Adventure Guide, I put examples of that at your seats, both the Adventure Guide and this year's new travel guide that just was put out. Taylor Kellogg, our Vice President of Marketing, puts this together with Willie Tiggis. They're both they are our marketing department for Travel Dubuque, and done an absolutely amazing job. You can see the numbers below. As this continues to evolve and grows, it gives us the ability to highlight how unique we are as a year-round destination. This one that you've got in front of you is fall and winter, and we'll do one again for spring and summer. The thing I like about this specific adventure guide is that we're able to highlight different restaurants, different attractions, different things throughout the entire region, because every year we're creating a new one, and these have been incredibly popular. People are able to go online and order them, call our Welcome Center, and you'll see when we get into the budget later on how much our mailing, our postage has increased just by their response for the mailing these out with our travel guides and such. So staff came up with this. They've done just a great job of putting this out. And like I said, being able to showcase our whole variety of what we have to see and offer here in Dubuque and Dubuque County. And then the ad buy. Taylor does an amazing job with this. I told my board the other night that, I give her a budget each season, and this is an area in marketing where you could really go off a little bit. She doesn't. She does an absolutely tremendous job of keeping us within budget, really looking at what is the best way for us as we continue to evolve, right? I mentioned I've been up here for some time doing this. Back in the day, we were doing quite a bit of radio, television, even billboard. Now, so much of what we do is by, with the phones and such, being able to reach out in a variety of different ways and such. The social media component, really utilizing what we do and what all others do, called influencers, to really showcase what we have here in our area. I think this is one of the things we're really very proud of, that we continue to grow and expand as we look at who we are as a destination, working with our our counties within our region to really showcase once again not only what Dubuque and Dubuque County has, but all of our other partners. If you're in Delaware, Jackson, Jones County, what's unique for the guests that come here that they're able to go out and see and such. So Taylor and Carrie Kelker from our staff have gone out and met with these counties with our friends from ECIA, and really are developing a very strong relationship where we can promote them as a viable destination. And you'll see that in this year's travel guide, about halfway through, each county has a 2-page spread, and they're thrilled with that because we're able to showcase the brewery down in Bellevue, or one of the unique, like the water park over in Manchester, in Delaware County, and just all of the different things like that. It makes us a stronger destination, makes us a stronger region. Folks are going to come here, they're going to stay here, but then they're able to go out to our partners and really show, really see what they have to offer. Some unique restaurant or a ice cream shop somewhere or such. It gives business to those counties too in those areas. It just makes us a stronger region. The group tours, this is an element I always talk about when I get in front of you guys, that Dubuque continues to thrive with this. And that's the buses that you see in the downtown area, outside of our hotels, outside of our attractions, outside of all of our restaurants and such. We continue to do a really strong job with this, and that's really because what we have here in our region. When you look at the River Museum, when you look at the Field of Dreams, when you look at Brightbox and all these areas that these group tour meetings planners want to go to and such, we do a really good job. And I think that one of the bigger things that really makes it why we're successful is Becky Karkik. So hands-on. She meets all the different groups, gives them caramels. How unique is Dubuque with caramels, right? That and Betty Jane candy. But so she really goes out of her way to make sure that they have a great experience here in our area and such. Then we get the repeat businesses. And one of the other big things that she does an amazing job with is our historic progressive dinner. And that's where the groups come in and they go from place to place and experience the different things that we have here in Dubuque. And that continues to grow every year. She does a lot of time and puts a lot of effort into it. And that's the reason why that continues to thrive and do well each year. Once again, I'll go back to it, is our staff and the time and effort and the care that they put into all these different groups. Then Julie Kronlage. Julie's been with me. We talked about that before she left tonight. She started with me in July of 2008 here in Dubuque. And there's not a better salesperson, not only for us, but in the entire area, what Julie is. She goes above and beyond with all these different meetings and such. Make sure that their experience here is second to none. And that's why we have such a strong, meeting component within our area. You can see 24 is going to be busy. And guys, coming out of the pandemic, remember I've told you this before, the slowest thing to come back from the pandemic was meetings, and we're starting to see that come back very strong. We're thrilled with the new management down the Grand River Center. Julie, my staff, have developed a very strong relationship with them. They're doing a great job putting their team together to work with us to make sure that that facility, which we feel is still one of the premier ones in the state of Iowa and such, to make sure that that's busy throughout the entire season. So a lot of great things. One of the big ones, you look at the bottom, the Studebakers are coming in end of June, actually, this summer. There'll be over 800 Studebaker cars will be here, and they're going to be here for like 4 to 5 days, bringing over 800 room nights a night to our area. So it's going to be very busy, because at that same time frame, we've got a youth baseball tournament going on, and that's our busiest one of the year. We're going to be very busy here in Dubuque, which is exciting. The riverboats, talked a little bit about this earlier, and that this is an element that continues to grow year by year. Staff does an absolutely amazing job. Julie, Becky, across the board, coordinating this, working with city staff and such to make sure that when these boats come in, there's no hiccups, and there potentially could be, right? And there's some things, right, that we can't, with the level of the river, if it's too high, but the last few years it's been a little low, but the city did an absolutely amazing job of dredging right out front of the American Trust Plaza to make sure that we can get all those boats in there. But all the activity that brings to our downtown area, that it brings to all of our neighbors and such, is amazing. And this continues to grow every year, and who knows how many of these people that come here and they see Dubuque, and they see Dubuque County or the area, and they say, hey, someday I either want to open up a business there or I want to move there and retire. So this continues to be another avenue for us. And I've said this in the past, and I've been doing this long enough. I applaud the city for what they did, the foresight that the city had 20-some years ago now, even more than that, 25 years, to develop that port and to have that be the key for our area, and it continues to be. When you look at all the business this brings into our region, it's significant. To embrace the river, that's the thing that separates us. It makes us unique. The city saw that. The private entities saw that, and it continues to be a major draw for us on a daily basis when the river's open. Upcoming events is Noah Westhoff joined our team back in May. Noah's been an incredibly solid addition to our team. We knew that. He had interned for us with the Major League Baseball game in 2022. We've kept him very busy, and he's got all kinds of different activity, as you can see on the screen. This is just some of the activity that's going on. He's got a whole list of different things that are happening, and it's very unique, right? A lot of different things. We're not focused on just one group, not one entity, not one sport or such. There's a lot of different things that Noah's involved with on a daily basis, and he does an amazing job with it. And when you look at this schedule, it really runs the gauntlet throughout the entire season. One of the big things I will call to your attention is the Dueling Dogs and World Championships this year. They're combining Dueling Dogs with their World Championships. So instead of like a 4-day event, it's going to be a 7-day event. So there's going to be a lot of barking dogs in downtown during that time frame. But that event brings a lot of people into the region. Last year they had over 600 unique competitors from around the United States and Canada, and that continues to grow. They love Dubuque. The competitors love Dubuque. The staff loves Dubuque because they open up their arms, to them, and they really enjoy coming here, and they have been for some time. As you know, in May, Travel Dubuque took on the management of the Field of Dreams movie site and the other areas with that. John Sutter, we were blessed to bring him on board. John oversees all the operations at the field. He's part of our staff, Travel Dubuque staff. This year is the 35th anniversary of the Field of Dreams, and we're in the process of developing quite a bit of different programming to highlight that. One thing will be featured around the Ghost Players. They'll do 4 Saturdays, July 6th, the 20th, August 3rd, I believe, and then the 17th, and we're going to have guest Ghost Players that we're working on to come out of the corn and be part of what we're doing. And there's some different celebrities that we can't announce them yet, but we're pretty excited where we're at with trying to get them here. So we'll see, but that's just some of the different activity. Then we're planning some activity around Labor Day weekend also to really showcase the field and market and continue for that to draw people throughout the entire United States and all over the world. One of the things that we did take on with the running of the movie site is the youth baseball tournaments. Last year, the last 3 years, they had an organization that marketed the tournaments and ran them. Then we did all the background. This year, we're facilitating all of it. Our team has been working very hard at it. Last year, they had 373 teams through that time period from 22 states. As of when I left the office, Noah was just leaving, we're at 320 teams now. So we're significantly ahead of where they were last year at this time. Our goal was 400 teams. And when I go to the next slide, you can see where these teams all come from. This is 2023. Just to give you a recap, like I'd mentioned, 22 states. Literally, these teams come from all over the United States, and they come in here and they love the region. They love it to be able to come, stay in Dubuque. We did a post-event survey of the teams last year. 95% of the teams stay in Dubuque and such. So as you can see, it brings a lot of activity, but it brings a lot of activity throughout the entire county. You know, we know, like at Brightbox up at Balltown, teams go up there just to have that unique experience of, you know, eating up there, looking down the Mississippi River Valley and such. A lot of our other partners throughout the county and the region see the impact of this. So this is something that we're going to continue. We work very hard at this. Noah, John, and our team out in Dyersville does a great job of putting this all together and marketing and such. And then when the teams come here, that they have the best experience they possibly can. And for us now, with us running it, our ability to reach out to those teams in advance and really showcase not only the properties, obviously, the hotels here in Dubuque, because this is where they're staying, but all the other activity, right? The National Mississippi River Museum, all the other things that they can go see and do when they're here. And that leads me back once again to our neighboring counties, because people are always looking at unique things to go see and do, and then they can go to, you know, Jones County, Jackson County. They can go to Cascade, which is in Dubuque County, and go to the Red Faber Museum. Just a lot of things to see. Gives us the ability to really showcase even more. You know, when we talk about the riverboats and what they bring in, that clientele, the clientele that the youth tournaments brings in, we estimated last year that over 18,000 people the tournaments brought to Dubuque County during that time frame, because you see it's significant. And that's an avenue that we're looking to grow even more as we continue to go down the road with this. Our outreach committee, this is we put this together. We used to have pre-COVID, we had an advisory committee, and when COVID hit, obviously everything kind of went on standstill. Coming out of this, we put together the outreach committee. We meet quarterly. We invite representatives from our industry and others to come and be a part of this. And it's been extremely well received. One of our first meetings, we went to the airport, and Todd Dulcing, who's an amazing individual, gave the whole group a background look at how the airport runs, right? Everything behind the scenes, and people loved it. We've done others such. You can see Director Durham, head of the Iowa Department of Economic Development. We brought her in as our guest speaker. She came in and did an amazing job. People were able to ask questions about the state from a tourism perspective and all different aspects. So this is what we're really looking to do, is really make it a unique experience for our partners in the industry and our partners in the I know two of you are also part of the outreach committee and such. So it really gives us a unique ability to go out and showcase what we have here and give people a kind of a unique feel for what goes on behind the scenes. So here are the results of tourism industry impact that has been reported to date, the data. This is the travel-related expenditures. This is what we receive from the state of Iowa each October, September, October. I always find this is kind of from my peers' perspective across the state, this is kind of our Bible. It really shows the economic impact numbers, how important, as you all know, that tourism and such is to our vibrancy here in Dubuque and Dubuque County, but how those numbers continue to grow every year. Obviously, we had a hiccup in 2020, to be expected, but how it's come back and how it continues to grow. And a lot of that plays into all the different aspects which I've been talking about, all the different avenues that we have the ability, and I think that's one of the unique things for Dubuque and Dubuque County is how diverse we are. Our ability to really attract people from a lot of different fields to come to our area and partake in meetings, group tours, events, any type of things and such. But you can see that those numbers reflect that, how we continue to grow each year. The occupancy, the 2023 was our second best year that I've been here. Our best year was 2019 when we had 62% occupancy. We weren't very far off of it. And that continues to grow, continues to do, well for our area. You can see when you compare that to the 23, the STAR report, those are the counties that are listed, which we are part of. That's the average occupancy. So you can see that we did very well compared to what our peers are throughout the state. Okay, I went too far. There it is. Okay, hotel motel tax, this continues. You can see the growth there. it's amazing. Our first year, this fiscal year budget, we're over $3 million in hotel motel tax revenue for the entire city and such. Significant growth through the years. That continues to grow, evolve, and like I talked about, all of this plays into this whole growth, this whole vibrancy, all the different avenues that I've been speaking about to how we getting people here and such. Obviously, tourism is a huge part of that, but also the economic climate here in Dubuque and Dubuque County, how that continues to thrive and grow, all the different things that we have here. But that's significant. That you can look back, through the years and you see the growth with this. I mean, I'm very proud of that number, and hopefully that's going to continue. By the time I leave, that's going to be even significantly higher. So, okay, this is our budget that we're looking at for fiscal year 2025 for Travel Dubuque. So we're looking at right now basically our income. We're proposing our fiscal. We've got three different columns here. One for where we are through the end of December for 23, what we budgeted for fiscal year 24, and what we're proposing for fiscal year 25. And you can see we've got a little bit of an uptick in revenue. We're just about 2.3 million in proposed income for this year. Really the biggest increase in that would be the hotel motel tax, obviously, when we saw that increase, from where we were last year to this year. Some of the other line items, they ebb and flow just depending on the year from an income standpoint, if we're doing a specific event or if we're not, but still that's a very strong income where we're at for this, what we're proposing. And then from an expense standpoint, really everything, I go through every one of these different divisions, like for example, with convention marketing, group tour marketing, I'll sit down with Julie and Becky. They'll outline their different expenses, where they feel like we're going to be, the different shows that they're going to participate, different elements in regards to what changed from 24 to 25 and such. Same with marketing, same with sports and events and such. We sit down with all of these, my people, and we go over all of this. So we do have a little bit more activity in the convention marketing and also the group tour marketing, because we're hosting a big event here in Dubuque. It'll be spring of 25, which would fall into this budget. It's an opportunity to bring in meeting planners. They're going to be hosted in Dubuque and such, and it gives us, it not only brings in significant business in the spring, but these meeting planners are looking then for them to come back here and host meetings going forward. So that's why you see that uptick in trade shows in the group tour component in fiscal year 25 and such. And then media, that $305,000, that's Taylor has that amount to work with. Now, whether or not we expend that, we'll see. And we base this all on, as we're going forward within our budget, she'll report to me saying this is where we're at, where do we need to be and such like that. So that's kind of a placeholder. It doesn't mean that we'll potentially spend all that. There may be some unique thing that comes up. I know some of you remember The Bachelor. They came to us at the last minute and said, hey, we want to do this in Dubuque. Do you have funds to help us? So that's where something like that we give a little bit of a cushion in that marketing budget just in case something unique like that does happen. So. And then salaries and benefits and our administrative. We continue to grow as a staff. As you know, one of the unique things that we did last year that raised our salary a little bit higher was our step-on guides for the boats. We employ anywhere from 30 to 35 during the season. Before that, we were not running them through we were paying them obviously, but not through our salaries, component. And then our auditor said, you should be doing this. So we did, and that increased obviously our salaries significantly over what it used to be. But we continue, when you look at, like I said, we have 10 full-time employees. We have another, probably almost 40 part-time employees. It's significant as we continue to grow, which is kind of amazing. I know Mike remembers this and Rick probably does, and maybe some of the rest of you do, but when 2008, we had 2 full-time employees, and no part-time employees. Now where we're at is pretty significant. So we continue to see that growth and such. The biggest thing I would call out in the administrative, I talked about earlier on, with the popularity of the fall, winter, spring, summer, the publication that Taylor and Willie put together, and also with our travel guide, our postage continues to increase, but postage is going up also, so we budgeted for that. So at the end of the day, when we get done, we're proposing that we'll be in the black just about $67,000 for fiscal year 25. And historically, that's about what we budget for. And during this time frame, my tenure as CEO of Travel Dubuque, we've never been in the red, ever. And we won't be. So that's the presentation that I have, and I'd open it up for any questions that the group might have at this point.
All right, thanks, Keith. We have time for maybe a couple here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Mr.
Thank
Resnick.
you, Mr. Mayor. Very quickly, your fiscal 2025 budget, the expense from the Growing Sustainability Conference was, $4,500, and the budget for the next year is $45,000. So if you wouldn't mind talking about that,
Excuse me, they moved it. It is always in the fall. And that's why we don't have much expense this year. We have expenditure that we had to put forth, but we moved it to April because you get a bit better attendance in that. That's why. It didn't happen in this fiscal year budget. It is in next fiscal year budget. That's why the increase.
super. Thank you. Thank
Yep.
you, Mr. Mayor.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Well, Keith, thank you very much. I just want to make sure that we say thank you for all the work that you do, and along with your staff throughout the entire year. I know I get to interact with you a lot, and I think we all do in the events that we go to. Welcoming every riverboat a couple years ago, for example, and obviously things with the Field of Dreams, events around town. You do an incredible job, and I appreciate the work you're doing. You have a much bigger staff to do it now, and that can be challenging too. But it is definitely something that is a major benefit to the entire region, but especially to us here in the city of Dubuque. So thank you very much for your work.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that, Mr. Mayor, and I say this every year, and I'd be remiss if I didn't. How much we appreciate your support across the board, the city council, city staff. What we've been blessed through all the years, all the different activity, all the different events that I've been a part of in Dubuque, and just the cooperation that we receive and the support is significant. And we could not do this without your support and the Dubuque County, the elected officials for Dubuque County. We appreciate it greatly. And I would just reiterate once again, I have an amazing staff. I really do. And I think you all know that. They're incredibly dedicated, and they go beyond to really showcase Dubuque and Dubuque County. So I appreciate that, but it's all of us working together that makes this all as good as what it is. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and keep up the good work.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, there being no further business in the work session, we will be adjourned.